In this chapter, we are going to see about important salts in daily life. What are salts? The ionic compounds which do not contain H ions and OH ions and contain only one kind of cation and an ion are called simple salts. For example, disodium sulfate, potassium phosphate, calcium chloride. Inorganic substances occur naturally in the form of salts rather than acids or bases. About 80 million tons of salts are added every year to seawater. Therefore, the sea is said to be a rich source of salts. In fact, the sea is a rich source of several salts of various elements such as chlorine, sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium, bromine. However, we also use other salts apart from this in day-to-day life. Now let's learn about them. We have seen in Now we have seen in the previous lesson that a salt is neutral when its pH value is 7. Such a salt is made from strong acid and a strong base. The pH value of a salt made from a strong acid and a weak base is less than 7 and it is acidic. On the other hand, the pH value of a salt made from a weak acid and strong base is more than 7 and it's basic. Now let's learn about some salts of everyday use. The first salt is sodium chloride, common name table salt, that's chemical formula NaCl. Table salt or common salt, which gives a salty taste to food, is the most used of all salts. Its chemical name is sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is formed by neutralization reaction between sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. And as we have already seen that this is a neutral salt and that the pH value of its aqueous solution is 7. Now we shall see few properties and uses. Common salt is a colorless and crystalline ionic compound. There is no water of crystallization in its crystalline structure. It's a neutral salt, salty in taste. The compound is used for the production of salts like sodium bicarbonate, sodium carbonate. When an electric current is passed through a saturated solution of sodium chloride, or it's also called as brine, it is electrolyzed and hydrogen gas is released at the cathode while chlorine gas is released at the anode. This method is used for production of chlorine gas. In this method, an important basic compound, sodium hydroxide, is formed in the cell. When salt is heated to a high temperature, about 800 degrees Celsius, it melts and that's called fused state of the salt. And when fused salt is electrolyzed, chlorine gas is released at the anode and liquid sodium metal at the cathode. Now the next salt is sodium bicarbonate, common name baking soda, chemical name NaHCO3, that is the chemical formula. Now your mother brings cake on your birthday or makes it at home. She also makes crisp bhaji or pakoda. Have you ever asked your mother what makes the cake porous or the bhaji crisp? Mother adds baking soda in the batter. Baking soda is a white non-crystalline powder. Its chemical name is sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate and its molecular formula is NaHCO3. It reacts with moist litmus paper and red litmus turns blue, which means it's basic in nature. It's used to make bread, cake, dhokla. Being basic in nature, it is used to reduce acidity in the stomach. It's also used to make the active substance carbon dioxide in the fire extinguisher. Baking soda is used to clean an oven. Next, we shall see about bleaching powder. That's calcium oxychloride, CaOCl2. Tap water has a typical strong odor in the rainy season. Have you experienced it? Water in a swimming pool also has the same odor. It is the odor of the chlorine gas used to destroy the microbes in the water. Chlorine gas is a strong oxidizing agent and therefore it has a strong disinfecting as well as a bleaching action. Chlorine is inconvenient to handle because of its gaseous state. Instead, the solid bleaching powder, which has the same effect, is more convenient to use. It undergoes slow decomposition due to carbon dioxide in air and chlorine gas is released. Bleaching powder gets its property because of this release of chlorine gas. So bleaching powder is obtained by the reaction of chlorine gas with slated lime. If you see in the picture, it's a yellowish white colored solid substance. Its chemical name is calcium oxychloride. It has a strong odor of chlorine gas. It's used for disinfection of drinking water and the water in the swimming pool. It is used for bleaching of clothes. It's used for disinfection by the roadside and garbage side. Calcium oxychloride reacts slowly with carbon dioxide to form calcium carbonate and chloride. Next, we shall study about washing soda. The hot water from a well or a bore well becomes soft on adding washing soda, and we come to know this from the lather formed in it. The hardness of water is due to the presence of chlorides and sulfates of calcium and magnesium in it. Sodium carbonate is added to it, soften such water and make it suitable for use. The reaction with sodium carbonate causes the formation of insoluble carbonates, salts of magnesium and calcium. Sodium carbonate is a water soluble salt of sodium. Crystalline sodium carbonate, on keeping, loses its water of crystallization readily and a white powder is obtained, and that's called washing soda. Now, few properties and uses of washing soda. It's a whitish and odorless powder at room temperature. It has a blue color. In its aqueous solution, it's hygroscopic, that is, it absorbs moisture if left exposed to air. It is used mainly for washing clothes. Sodium carbonate is used in the glass and paper industry and also in refining of petrol. Next, we shall see about few crystalline salts. As we have already studied, salts which contain water of crystallization. Now, the first salt we shall see about alum. Now, we have already studied that alum is used in the process of water purification because of properties of coagulation. The solid properties in water come together, become heavy and settle to the bottom. As a result, the water above becomes clear. The next, you can see crystalline salt, that's borax, barium chloride, sodium sulfate, blue vitriol. Blue vitriol is used in the blood test for diagnosing anemia in the Bordeaux mixture, which is used as a fungicide on fruits like grapes, muskmelons, slaked lime. It is used with blue vitriol. Next, we shall see about soap. When oil or animal fat is boiled with an aqueous solution of sodium or potassium hydroxide, sodium or potassium salts of carboxylic acid, that's fatty acids are formed. These salts are called soap. When soap is mixed with hard water, calcium and magnesium salts of fatty acids are formed. This being water insoluble, they form a precipitate, and that is why lather is not formed.